The candle between us flickered when he moved, not his hand, but his chair, just a bit closer. He didn't ask, didn't pause, just looked into my eyes like he already knew how this night would unfold. I had planned the entire evening down to the smallest detail, but the moment he leaned in, every word I had rehearsed vanished from my mind. If you've been here before, you already know, don't forget to like, subscribe, all the usual things, it really helps. And if this is your first time, I think you chose a good one. Thanks for being here. Let's begin. The stem of my glass had grown warm in my fingers. I hadn't even noticed, too caught up in the way the candlelight danced between us, and the strange fact that he hadn't touched his drink at all. I reached forward, nudging the dish of olives closer, and as I did, my wrist lightly brushed against his. He didn't pull away. He just looked at me, steady and quiet. His gaze was calm, almost too calm for the way that little flame between us was flickering. I shifted in my seat, crossing one leg over the other, smoothing the soft fabric of my dress. You didn't say what you thought of the pasta, I offered. He didn't reply right away, but he didn't look away either. Then, without a word, he shifted his chair again. The soft scrape of wood on tile echoed, gentle, deliberate. I blinked. I began, then stopped. He didn't smile, just watched me. Now he was close enough that I could feel both the space and the heat between us. I exhaled, a quiet breath. I thought I had everything figured out. He leaned in then, resting his elbows on the table, his jaw relaxed, his drink still untouched. Everything around us was exactly how I had imagined it. The music, the light, the timing, but none of it mattered the way I thought it would. He rose slowly from his seat. I stayed still. He walked around the table, unhurried, and when he reached my side, he extended his hand. It was open, waiting, not insisting. I glanced at it, then placed mine in his. His hand was warmer than I'd expected. I stood, slowly, and the soft folds of my dress caught the candlelight as I moved. We stopped just shy of touching. He raised my hand, not for show, not dramatically, just to place it gently against his chest. I could feel the steadiness in him, the quiet warmth. You don't need to lead tonight, he said. His voice was low, calm, close enough that I could feel it. I didn't move. The moment stretched, full but unhurried. He reached up and brushed a lock of hair behind my ear, soft, purposeful. His hand lingered for a second, then lowered. I glanced down briefly, just long enough to notice how the space between us had gone completely still. When I looked back up, he rested his hand gently at my waist. No more. Just that. A held moment. I let the quiet linger. I planned the night, I whispered. I know, he said. Then he turned, still holding my hand, and stepped slowly toward the hallway. I followed. We didn't speak, didn't rush. Our hands stayed lightly linked between us, the sound of our steps barely audible in the hush. The light in the bedroom was already low, the soft glow behind us fading into gentle shadows ahead. He paused just inside the doorway, then turned to face me, still holding my hand. I met his eyes. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he placed his hands gently at my sides, firm, calm, without urgency. It wasn't the touch itself that caught me, it was the timing. I moved a little closer. He didn't shift, just stayed steady. You don't have to guide everything tonight, he said again, voice deep and composed. I hesitated, letting the moment sink in, then gave a quiet nod. He stepped back a little and I followed, still not speaking, just moving in quiet tandem. When I sat down, he stayed close, not leaning in, not pulling away, just keeping space open. I reached out, first to the fabric at his sleeve, then to his shoulder. No message in the gesture, just connection. He lowered himself beside me, his elbows resting loosely on the edge of the bed. I looked at him, steady, unhurried, grounded. For the first time that evening, my thoughts quieted. I stopped trying to steer, and just let the calm hold me. He didn't say a word. He simply leaned forward, just enough to shift the energy between us. His closeness didn't feel demanding, only natural, like he understood exactly how close I might be ready for. There was no urgency, no pressure, just stillness. The kind that made everything else fade into the background. I became aware of how near he was. He wasn't crowding me. He wasn't withdrawing. He was simply there. His hand moved with care, resting lightly behind me. I felt a breath escape me that I hadn't even realized I was holding. My fingers found his shoulder again and rested there, not directing, just anchoring. I turned toward him slightly. He stayed still.
Come.
His gaze didn't waver. One of his hands drifted gently toward my side, not exploring, not asking, just resting. And I let the quiet hold between us. As he shifted once more, I noticed one side of my dress had settled unevenly. He didn't adjust it. Neither of us spoke. But something about that small, shared awareness made everything sharpen. The fabric hadn't moved, but I felt the energy shift. I became aware of every inch between us. How charged and still the moment had become. I let out a breath. Unintentionally. He caught it. Didn't respond with words. Only adjusted his balance slightly, as if to settle into where we already were. His hand moved again, softly, settling at my side. Even. Steady. Then he lowered his head beside mine.
Not leaning in.
Just resting there, quietly. I closed my eyes. One of my hands moved to his arm. Not to guide, not to ask. Just to feel. The space around us stayed still. No movement. No pressure. Just his nearness and the calm that followed. His other hand didn't move. Just stayed where it had been. He shifted again, not hovering, not enclosing me, just staying near. And I didn't move either. The places where our clothes touched reminded me how quiet the night had become. And how much had changed, even with so few words. He stepped back slightly, and our hands stayed together. He looked at me, and I gave him a small nod. No explanation. Just something understood. When he returned to my side, the silence felt even deeper than before. This time, I reached for him completely. Not to control, but to meet him where he already was. My arms rested across his shoulders. Our breathing fell into the same rhythm. No one moved. Nothing stirred. He looked at me, steady, open. I stayed close. And without having to explain it, I loosened the grip I hadn't realized I'd held onto. It wasn't giving up. And it wasn't taking charge. It was just quiet. Familiar.
Seen.
Not planned. But exactly what I'd hoped to share. Be honest, if he looked at you like that, would you have leaned in? Or would you have tried to slow it all down? Let me know in the comments. I'll be reading. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching.